Hello, Lisa Pellegrino with you on National Weekend Evenings. Coming up in this next half hour, is there just one book you haven't been able to put down? Maybe it was a great read, or maybe it was really difficult to understand. Finnegan's Wake has captured the attention of many avid readers across the generations, and you're going to hear from one book club that has been reading the same book for 28 years. Now, let me ask you this. Are you in a book club? How long's it been running for? How many books have you explored together? Well, Gerry Fialka ran a book club for one book that lasted 28 years. James Joyce, Finnegan's Wake. The book club tackled one page per meeting. Now, that might sound strange, just one page per meeting, stretching the book out to almost 3 decades. But if you're not familiar with the book, Finnegan's Wake, it's famous for being one of the most complex and challenging reads in literary history. Gerry Fialka joins you this evening. Hi, Gerry.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me. We're going to explore the hidden psychic effects of radio, video conferencing, and spoken word. That's what you do with Finnegan's Wake is you do something different than reading a book to yourself. You have to read it out loud with a group of people looking at the text.
Yeah, well, didn't Joyce himself say that the demand I make of my reader is that he should devote his entire life to reading my works?
Well, he's a trickster. He's joking. He knows you. He still wants to go to the restaurant and have a nice dinner and a glass of wine and have conversation with people. In fact, they ask him, who wrote Finnegan's Wake? He says, I didn't write it. The people over there at the cafe wrote it. So this is flaneurs in Paris in the 1920s, psychogeography. We're all just trying to have slack and chill out and breathe and enjoy life.
Gerry, 28 years with one book. What inspired you to start this with Finnegan's Wake and the book club?
Well, that's a great question. I wouldn't want to ruin it with an answer, but I will. And that's John Cage would say that, who was a Wakean. It's about, my life is pursuing art, creativity, the human condition, our philosophies. So it all led up to that, and someone brought to my attention Marshall McLuhan, who kind of broke the Finnegan's Wake code, who wrote books out of Canada from the 40s to the 80s, and his pursuit of understanding how our inventions shape our behavior led him to saying, if you want to know about me, you've got to know all about James Joyce. So I wanted to get deeper into how our inventions shape us, shape our behavior so that, we can cope with what we don't like about our inventions. Some people don't like their cell phone, but they're addicted to it. I had an art project once that I said, oh, you super glue your cell phone to your hand. And some people said, that's a good idea. So, it's like, what do we do with these inventions and how do they shape our behavior? So that's what I wanted to do with the community is form a choir or a hootenanny where we read Finnegan's Wake and explore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions so that we could learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions.
Your book club was in Venice, California, in the US. Now, for those who haven't tried to tackle Finnegan's Wake, how would you describe it?
Well, first of all, it's not difficult and you don't have to spend your life. It's really fun. It's like, if you ever heard the song Louie Louie by the Kingsmen written by Richard Berry, it's mumbly. So it's like a secret language you make up with your brothers and sisters or your friends when you're a kid so you can talk about things and your parents don't understand. It's kind of like a code, but it's not. It's like you go to church and you sing songs, or you at at holidays, you sing songs with other people, or in the folk world, you sing hootenannies where everybody sits around and sings songs. It's really not difficult. Once you get into the groove of looking at the words on the paper and hearing them mispronunciated, I got a good education, but you look at these words and everybody's going to say them a little differently because there's over 60 different languages in one book. So it's funny when people say you translated it. It got translated in China a couple of years ago and was a bestseller. But it's about, here's the normal. You're at a cocktail party, go, oh, did you ever read James Joyce? I go, oh, yeah, I read Ulysses. Oh, it's considered one of the greatest books ever. And it's hard read, but, I got a lot from it. Well, did you ever tackle Finnegan's Wake? Are you kidding? Joyce went too far with that. No, he didn't. He just helped us with learning about what language does to us, spoken word and printed word. So when you read a book out loud and you're looking at the text, you're turning an eye experience into an ear experience. So it's called sense ratio shifting. When we read books, we're generally using our eyes. When we listen to music, we're generally using our ears. Well, he wanted you to use your ear to understand what spoken word does to us, what printed word does to us. What does it do to us? We don't know what our inventions do to us. We generally just embrace them and let them shape us. People don't understand what radio does to them. Thank God they tune into your radio station and they feel, like a community. That's what radio does. It engages the community in dialogue. And that's why radio really advanced to the Finnegan's Wakian stage when it became talk radio. So it became a two-way communication. And that's what the Wake is. It's two ways. It's not just the author giving you words. It's the author giving you words and engaging you in how you're consuming those words.
Can you read a little bit for us, a couple of sentences? Because there is this play
on sure.
On
that's very
language.
Simple. Because, yeah, I'll just go to the last page, 628th page. Till thousand ends the lips, the keys to give him, away, alone, a last, a loved, along the. Now I turn to the beginning of the book, which is page 3. The book starts with the end of that first, the end of the last sentence starts. It's a cyclical book. It ends mid-sentence and then it picks right back up. River run past even atoms from swerve of shore to bend of bay brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Hoth, Castle, and environs. So that's environment. It's the environment that is created. So we never ended reading Finnegan's Wake, and if you read it and it's a cyclical book. So the last sentence ends mid-sentence and it picks right back up at the beginning. So it's a circular, like an Irishman I was reading the Wake with today. He was in Dublin. One person was in Ohio and one person was in Texas through Sweeney's Pharmacy in Dublin. And he said, it's new every time I read it. It's refreshing. So, good books are something you can return to and really get something out of.
Oh, by reading the last page, you haven't spoiled the ending for us, that's for sure. But what's it actually about? Is there...
Right. I was just about to say, I was like talking like those guys on the debate today. Boy, do they know how to talk around things. That's a skill in negotiation, right? In diplomacy of words are you metaphorical or literally? Okay, literally, I'm going to answer your question, Lisa. And again, that's a very good question. I wouldn't want to ruin it with an answer, but I will because it's about everything that ever happened and ever will happen. So it's like a crystal ball. Lisa's name is in there. Your last name is in there. ABC Radio Sydney's in there. You can read anything into the wake, but it sure has a lot going on to be able to do that. So if you ever go to have a crystal ball or you do the I Ching, it's similar to that. It's sort of like Joyce invented the internet, chat box, video conferencing, and disguised it as a book. So, of course, there's a story. What you want me to say is there a story? Yeah, it's about a guy. His name's HCE and his wife is ALP, and they have 3 kids, and they run a pub and blah, blah, blah. But in essence, that's the trick. Joyce tricked you into a medium, which is called book reading, to think there was content. And there's no content in Finnegan's Wake. It's helping you understand what reading does to you by tricking you into believing there's content. Now, everybody will say there's a lot of content in Finnegan's Wake because there's a lot of books that try to explain the answer to your question, Lisa. What is the book about? And it's, of course, it's about something. If you put a bunch of words together, it's going to be about something. So it's not gibberish, and it's not, it's chalked off as being gibberish, but it's because one has to realize that you have to read it out loud with a group of people and just get into that groove. Do you ever sing songs like when you're driving the car or with your friends in a car and everybody's singing the song together on the radio?
Mm.
Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, that's what Finnegan's Wake is.
But of course, Finnegan's Wake doesn't say Lisa Pellegrino. It doesn't say ABC Radio. But is the idea that you can find yourself within those words and almost
yes, I bet
your
you
ideas?
you could search. You could search and you'll find Lisa. You'll find something close to that. When my wife and I decided to get married 25 years ago, we were reading Finnegan's Wake that week. Okay, so we got to this page, and we had decided before we read that page that we were getting married in Paoli, Indiana, at our friend's farm. So we get to the page, and by a miracle, there was the word Paoli on that page, spelled exactly like. Well, that's just a coincidence, serendipity, cosmic, whatever you want to say. Also, on that page, there were 4 references to man and wife, marriage. So, again, people go, well, that's just a coincidence. Okay, well, that's what life's about, is watching for these coincidences that you can connect. It's called pattern recognition. If you study pattern recognition, you can come up with comprehensive awareness. That's the big picture. That's what we're after. Well, that's what your radio show is like, sort of helping people get the big picture.
I've just opened up pages 41 and 42. Now, I can't see my name or ABC Radio. However, there is the word hosty there. With hosty, just how the shavers in the shore, the yokels in the yotes, all well. Yeah, I'm a radio host. There you go. I didn't believe that
there
I could
you
somehow...
found yourself. And what you mean? You just happen to have a copy of the book and you just flip to that page?
True story. This was one of the pages that was sent to me, and this was not an intended thing for me to look for something, but I just started to look in it. The PDF. I'm looking through the pages and happened to find that.
So, Lisa, what's happening there is. That's you. That's the user is the content. So if you understand Marshall McLuhan, he said this phrase in the 60s, the medium is the message. And it's very misunderstood, but it's basically like, it doesn't matter what radio you're listening to. It's just that you're listening to the radio. So we would say, people get up in the morning and they turn their radio on, and it's like getting into a warm bath. It's a routine, and it makes them feel good, and it creates an environment for them. So then mid-career, McLuhan switched, the medium is the message, to the user is the content. So that's where you pick that up. You're a radio host. The user, the book reader, Lisa, you looking at Finnegan's Wake, is the content. And that's how you relate to it. That's what Edgar Allan Poe invented the detective novel, which is reasoning backwards, which is effects precede causes. That means I'm only going to tell you so much of this story, and then you're going to fill in the missing gap so that you will be swooped in to the experience. Then Edgar Allan Poe spawned the symbolist poets in France, who spawned all the rock poets, and that is Mallarmé saying, you don't paint the painting, you paint the effect that you want on the viewer of the painting. No, you guys know that because that's what you want people to listen to your radio station, right? So you know how to cut it with, I was going to say, hey, I could tell you how TV, telephone, video conferencing came about. I could tell you the whole history and how it's connected with Finnegan's Wake. And then you could run some music in the background as to attract people to this show. It's called Sister Aretha Franklin's song, Who's Zooming Who? Lisa, are you zooming me or am I zooming you?
Who knows?
So, it's like, again, it's like, how do you create something that's a living organism? That's what Joyce invented in this book, a living organism. So it's timeless. All times are happening now. Both him and Frank Zappa said that, all at onceness. And you live in the moment. I mean, isn't that the important thing in life, Lisa, is to live in the moment, be here now, be present. Take a deep breath now, consciously let it out, and then the rest of the day, you're on automatic pilot with breathing. But when you consciously take a breath and let it out, you become more present and alive in your life. And that's what Joyce was creating. It's almost like breathing. There's another line that I would love to say that he incorporates a lot of jokes. He's a trickster. It's all about funny, be happy, laughter. And McLuhan said Joyce used the pun as a way of seeing the paradoxical exuberance of being through language. So, life's paradox, right? On and off, light and dark, laugh and cry. There's the summary. You don't have to read Finnegan's Wake. You can read one word from Finnegan's Wake, laugh, tears. So he took the word laughter and he added an A and an S and turned it into laugh, tears. That's the human condition. You laugh and then you cry. Now, the funny thing is those two letters he added, A and S, spell as, which is a reference to metaphor. All language is metaphoric. We think language works, and it does pretty good. But Joyce is kind of guiding us how language doesn't work. One gentleman said that Finnegan's Wake has a typo in every word on purpose.
On ABC Radio National Weekend Evenings, Lisa Pellegrino with you. You're joined by Gerry Fialka, who had a book club in California, 28 years reading the one book, Finnegan's Wake. Now, Gerry, your group would read just one page per session. What's the discussion like on just a single page, and why would you only tackle one page?
Okay, now the verb you're using is not correct. It's not would. We still do. It never ended. It's that the book, we came to the last page of the book and then we went back up to the front. So we're continuing to read the book. There's 52 Finnegan's Wake reading clubs across the world. Anyone can enter any of these on Zoom now. It's the best way, and find the time that works for you. So we continue. It's not a past thing. It's a continuing living organism. Well, it's simple. it's just like if you read any book, David Foster Wallace or, A. A. Milne or Alice in Wonderland, anyone could gather few people and read a page and then say, okay, how does this page make you feel? That's how our group is different than most of the groups. Most groups go, what do you think Joyce meant by this? Or let's kind of analyze where he's coming from. He put over 1,000 names of rivers in Finnegan's Wake just to teach people rivers' names. So someone will go, oh, that's a river's name. Now, there's several guides, Lisa, that tell you, oh, this word could refer to this. This word is a French word for that. It breaks it down. Oh, that's a battle that they fought in Ireland, And then there's words like email and what's that GFA, or what's the thing that you take a little picture and it moves?
Oh, a GIF? GIF?
GIF. GIF is in there. Auto tuning is in there. So you can say, oh, well, Joyce was predicting the future. Now, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just gathering people together to share who each one is and how reading, radio, electricity shapes our behavior. So I always say this. We could be reading People magazine and do the same thing. There's no difference. And people go, no, Finnegan's Wake's better than People magazine. So, I mean, it's endless what you're going to come up with. It's a reflection of the people who attend.
Speaking of the people who attend, you've had some interesting people in your group over the years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just get all kinds of people from 12-year-olds to 92-year-olds. Our oldest member just died. She was 104 years old. I mean, good God, that was amazing. But, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're celebrities or what. You can go to Peter Quadrino's Finnegan's Wake website and learn from his Pantheon article all the hipster, great known actors and celebrities who have mentioned Finnegan's Wake. Johnny Depp carries a copy around his back pocket, and Brie Larson, who played Wonder Woman, they asked her in People magazine, what are you doing now? She goes, reading Finnegan's Wake. So anyways, it doesn't matter. It's an Esperanto thing. It's everybody's language. Everybody can read Finnegan's Wake. It's an extension of some humanness. Everything we invent extends some humanness. So the knife and fork extends our teeth. The shutter in a camera or projector extends our eyelid. What does the book extend? What humanness? Or let's go in your format. What does the radio extend? What humanness does the radio extend?
Well, for me, I've always believed it's connection and community.
Well, that's it. That's the beautiful thing. Now, that's part of what humanity is why do we invent things in order to put something in between you and the other person so that you can connect? And you put the airwaves in it, in electricity, so you could have radio with strings and Dixie cups, but I couldn't be on your radio station if we don't have a string long enough from here to Australia, right?
Hey, speaking of long distances, Gerry, you mentioned the Dublin book club, or people you're talking to in Dublin. Now, do you have multiple book clubs of yours that you extend out?
I attend Austin, Texas Finnegan's Wake group. I run the Venice Finnegan's Wake Reading Club. I go to the Dublin one at Sweeney's Pharmacy once a week, and then I attend the New York Finnegan's Wake Reading Club. So there's 4 of them, but there's over 50 all over the world. And it's amazing because it really changed with Zoom. Pre-Zoom, it was all in person. Now, Zoom, that's why Joyce invented Zoom. It's the perfect medium for Finnegan's Wake. And if you have a moment, I would love to connect you. This is a through line. This is like teaching you history or teaching your viewers. In 1939, the New York World's Fair demonstrated how we're being taped right now. It's called video conferencing. Call it Zoom for short. It's called television telephone. We both have our cameras off, but I wish we could have our cameras on. I could communicate better seeing your eyes. But television telephone came out the year Finnegan's Wake came out, 1939. 1968, it became a reality for a lot of people because the Stanley Kubrick film, 2001, showed the guy in the rocket ship calling his daughter and wishing her a happy birthday on a television telephone, on Zoom. And so then what happened? 2001, they asked Stanley Kubrick, why'd you make this film? And he said to twist up Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan got everything he knew from Finnegan's Wake. So there's the full circle. You know, I mean, it's constantly, how do you connect everything? There's a fine line. It's called conceptual continuity in the Frank Zappa world, and it's called complex clairvoyance in the Marshall McLuhan world. And Joyce basically called it all times are happening now.
Gerry, you've written an article about your experience with the book entitled, Can Art Stop War? Can it?
So once I got recognition as a fluke that my reading club had reached its peak for 28 years and finished the book. The irony is we didn't finish it. It's an ongoing experience. But I got recognition in The Guardian and the Turkey and China and all over the world. And it was sort of funny. Even on CBS Evening News in America, it was like, war, war, war. Reading club, war, war. So I thought my friend really inspired me. And he, fellow artist, he says, well, what are you going to do with your recognition? I was going to go, oh, well, easy. I'm going to show how the book is a manifesto for peace.
Gerry Fialka is an experimental filmmaker, podcaster, and runs a book club about James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I love your verb, run. Yeah, I'm running here. The key word is play. You know, art, they go artwork, but with music, it's play. You play music. That's really what Finnegan's Wake is music.
If you'd like to find out more about Gerry's book club and maybe even join it yourself, you can go to the website laughtears.com.